Hey guys, welcome back to the GIZGUIDEPH channel. This is Neil, and in this video we'll be sharing our experience with the new realme Narzo 30A. As you know guys, the Narzo line is realme's value for money line, and this is its newest member. Late last year, they announced the realme Narzo 20. And this is expected to be priced similarly as that phone. This is the Narzo 30A. It has a 6.5-inch LCD display with the MediaTek Helio G85 processor, 4 GB of RAM, 64 GB of storage, and Android 10 based Realme UI baked in. At the back of the phone is a 13-megapixel main camera, a 2-megapixel monochrome camera, while in front is the 8-megapixel selfie camera. Now, as you can see over here, we have the black colorway, and you can see here there's a two pattern of design here. There's a flat, smooth surface with the Narzo logo at the back, along with the fingerprint scanner and the rear camera module. But here we have a textured pattern background. This adds a little bit more of a grippy feel to it, makes it a little bit easier to hold and not slip. It's still a slippery phone, but this helps in reducing the slippage. It's made of primarily glass front panel and a polycarbonate back and frame. Now, as you can see here, we have the 6.5-inch display I was talking about earlier. It is a 720p panel, and as you can see, there's a notch over here. There's also the speaker grill over here, and then the bezels from the top and the sides are very slim, although the chin bezel is rather thick. At this price point, this is acceptable. And if you look closely, the screen is very responsive, as you can see here, and then of course it's very vibrant over there. You can see all the colors, all the shades, and the text is crisp enough. Of course, a full HD panel will be even crisper, but at its price point, I think there's not much to complain about. Now, at the top side here, as you can see here, it's a smooth surface. There is the SIM tray over here on the right side. So while we're here, let's see the SIM tray itself. As you can see, it's a hybrid, this is a full 3-slot SIM tray, meaning you can put 2 nano SIMs and a micro SD card slot over there without any need for 2-to-1 solution. And then of course, we have here at the bottom is the USB-C port, the speaker grills, the microphone ports, and of course the 3.5mm audio jack. And at the left side, of course, is the volume rocker and then the power button. And then we go back to the back, and then that is the rear-facing camera. It has a square-shaped camera module with the 13-megapixel main camera and a 2-megapixel monochrome camera, an LED flash, and then the AI branding. And of course, lastly, at the notch there is a selfie camera we mentioned earlier. Okay guys, let's talk about the performance of the realme Narzo 30A. Navigating through the phone is very snappy and has very few latency. As you can see here, I just swipe it up and I can quickly open up the drawer, and then when I open it now, for example, the calendar, it opens up right away. It's not as instantaneous as more higher end phones, but this is fast enough for a phone priced at its price point. And as you can see here, I'm swiping up and down very quickly and it's able to respond. There's a bit of latency to it, but it's very good for its price. Okay guys, in terms of performance, we ran the Narzo 30A with several of the usual benchmarks. As you can see here, in Antutu, we got over 200,000 overall score. If you look closely, we only increased the temperature by 3 degrees, and we only lost 2% of battery life while doing the test over. So this is a pretty good score, given that it is the Helio G85. So this is pretty much expected. We get good graphics performance and then very good CPU performance. Up next is of course Geekbench. We had a score of 354 in the single core score and 1300 in the multi-core score. In the 3D Mark wildlife test, we got over 700 for the overall score, and we had an average frame rate of 4 frames per second. And when we look at here, as you can see here, we did not lose battery life, and we maintained temperature of 34 degrees, and we average around 4 frames per second overall. Where is our settings? Oh, okay. Alright guys, as you can see here, the recommended settings for here is on the medium graphics while on high frame rate. So it means that this phone can roughly play at medium graphics and at high refresh rate. So we'll be able to get a slightly good graphics with better than average refresh rates. Let's try playing a random game. All right, we're in the middle of a match. Let's go. As you can see here, guys, we have only a single speaker. So most of the audio is coming from the right side oh my gosh, grenade. So I was thrown off by a grenade. As I said earlier, we only have one speaker, so most of the audio is coming from the right side. So if you're trying to game, the directionality of the sound could be a little bit not as good because you're only listening from one speaker. I'm out of ammo again. I keep dying because I ran out of ammo. But overall, guys, I mean, it is in medium settings, but the frame rate is just enough that I can see the enemies just as fast. So I'm able to really react as fast as possible. As you can see here, guys, we are at the lowest graphics settings in the smooth one. So we're capped at 30 frames per second and we are at the lowest possible graphics. Let's look at the game itself. As you can see, it's a little bit pixelated. All right. Well, as I'm running around, oh my gosh. Oops. It's a level 20 monster and I'm a level 6. It's playable, but I would prefer a little bit smoother. So if you guys wanted to play Genshin Impact on a budget, this is playable, but it may cause you to die a lot because there's a bit of frame rate drops and a bit of, I guess, jaggedness to the graphics. So it's not the prettiest. It's pretty, but it's not the smoothest experience as you'll get. You'll notice a bit more frame rate drops when there's a lot of animation on screen. So if there are a lot more enemies and a lot more animations, it will get slowed down a little bit. So overall, guys, as you can see, Genshin Impact is playable, but expect it to slow down when the screen is getting really busy. So gaming, it's passable. I can play both Call of Duty, no problem. I can play Genshin, although Genshin is a little bit harder to play on this thing, but it's okay. Now let's move on to the battery life. As mentioned earlier, it has a 6,000 milliampere battery with 18 watts fast charging. So Realme says that it will give you around 2 days of somewhat intensive use. If you're not playing a game all day, this can last 2 days. I can attest to this. I was able to browse the internet, answer calls, make messages, email, check my email, Spotify, use it for Waze, use it for Grab or Food Panda. No problem, I can get 2 days out of that. But if I'm going to do a long gaming session, several hours of gaming session, the battery will drain a lot faster. And the 18 watts charging of this thing, since it is a massive 6,000 milliampere battery, it will take around under 3 hours to fully charge it with the 18 watts charger. But because it does last for 2 days, what I do is I top up whenever I can. So I barely reach the empty battery that I would get. I would just top off every now and then I'd be fine for a couple of days. I'm very confident in the battery of this thing. And now let's move on to the cameras. The camera performance of this phone is okay. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It seems that it's not the focus of this phone. So it can take decent pictures. You'll be able to get decent selfies and decent cameras with the main camera in daylight. It struggles in low light. But again, it's not the focus of this phone. You're gonna get this phone for the battery and for being able to play several games on this thing. So let's go on to the UI. This is running on Android 10 based Realme UI 1.0. This will be updated to Android 11 Realme UI 2.0 in the future once it becomes available. And we've talked about the Realme UI for a while now. I think it's one of the better UIs out there now. It's very smooth and it's very clean. There's not much change from previous Realme UI 1.0 from the other phones that I've tried. Otherwise, it's very clean, very pretty, very responsive, and there's a couple of added features that I like that I wish that other brands would put. For example, the being able to properly have the convenience controls over here. Let me show it to you guys. So they have the you can have the assistive ball and then the smart sidebar. If you look here, you can add a sidebar over here if you want just to have swipe from the side and have access to a lot of different apps or gestures right away from that side. Otherwise, I'm very happy with Realme UI 1.0. I'm excited for Realme UI 2.0 to come to this phone. Hopefully, it will smoothen out some of the quirks that we experience from the game. Maybe make it a little bit lighter, make it a little bit snappier as well. Overall, the Realme 30A is looking to be a very interesting phone for its price point. It is clearly focused more on the gaming side, giving you a bigger battery and giving you the Helio G85, which can handle a demanding game like Genshin. I mean, we were able to play it. It's not the smoothest experience, but being able to run it for a phone at this price is very, very impressive. The 720p panel could be a concern for some people who prefer 1080p, but let's be honest, it's very hard to find a 1080p display smartphone at this price point. Very difficult. If you do find one, that will be great. But aside from that, I'm very happy with the overall performance of this phone. It's very lightweight. I like the polycarbonate frame in the back panel. The front panel is also nice. And then, as I said, the cameras are not the focus of this thing, so it can take decent shots, but I wouldn't recommend it most of the time. Overall, the Realme Narzo 30A should be in your list if you are going to find a phone that can play games and last a long time in battery life terms. This has been Neil. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you haven't yet, you may want to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be covering more gadgets in the future. If you need to know more about the news and if you have more questions about tech, you can message us at GIZGUIDEPH.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And I'll see you guys in the next video. This has been Neil. Bye-bye.